here, which is fantastic. We'll do a round of introductions once we officially, I guess the meeting's recorded now, but we'll do the opening and roll call, and then we'll do a round of introductions for everyone. But just before we officially start the meeting, a couple reminders. So the city is, you all have city email accounts. We are sending this information on the utility board packet, meeting attendance, things like that, all via the city email accounts. For public records purposes, I can share some case studies with you on why that's important. But that's our primary form of communication. So if you don't have access to your city email, or if you need to reset it, let me know. We can get our IT folks to help you out. But try and utilize that form of communication if at all possible, rather than your personal emails. And then for the new board members, I think our city clerk sent out some trainings that you all have to complete. I believe a couple of you have already completed them, which is great. If you haven't, just check your email and get those done as soon as you possibly can. That would be most helpful as well. So just a couple reminders.
Okay.
Yeah, and shortly after we did all of that scam training, voila, right there in my city inbox are the scam emails, which surprised me a little bit.
So
I mean,
be
that they weren't
surprised that
being
happens.
picked out before they get to me.
Yep. So if you go into your city email, there's actually a phish reporting tool or button on the top right-hand side. And so if you get those, absolutely report it, and our IT folks reviews them and monitors them and does their thing on their back end. So it happens all the time.
I'll do that.
Think of it like a video game. You're trying to find them and you report them. And actually, sometimes city IT staff, or I don't know if the city IT staff does, but I know my IT staff does, will send out fake phishing emails to employees in order to try and get them to report them, to help, train them on them. So that's, think of it like a game.
It's a training tool for sure. And there's been a couple where they've come from me, not on, like they author them as they're from me, but they're not from me, to try and catch people. So yeah, don't be surprised. Be on the lookout. So. All right, well, it's 5:03. I'm going to go ahead. We start the meeting. So I'll do a roll call, and then we'll kick off with the agenda. And then once we get the chair appointed and the vice chair, then we'll pass the meeting reins over to them. So Fran, you've started the meeting, so just roll call. Board member Lair.
Present.
Board member Marshall.
Present.
Board member Milton.
Present.
Board member Olson.
Present.
Board member Poor.
Present.
Board member Thomas.
Present.
Board member White. Member White is absent. Next order of business is public appearances. We have no public appearances this evening. So our first item of regular business is chair and vice chair elections. However, before we do chair and vice chair elections, perhaps we have some new faces this first utility board meeting. So perhaps we each just do a quick round robin on who you are, why you're interested in the utility board, what are you interested in learning more, and we'll go from there. So I'll just start top left and work through the screen. So George, why don't you start?
I'm George Marshall. I've been on the board, I think 5 or 6 years. I've lost track of when I actually started. But I'm retired. I worked for Puget Sound Energy for about 23 years. I've been retired since 1989. I have, so I'm accustomed to a highly regulated environment, because investor-owned utilities are regulated by the state and by the federal government. So I kind of bring that mindset to the board. I've lived on the island pretty close to 50 years. Loved every minute of it, same house. So anyway, that's me.
Great, thank you. Meredith, you're up next.
I'm Meredith Lair, and I've been on the board, it's either 2 or 3 years, might be 3 years now. I'd have to go back and check. I am also retired, not quite as long as George. Been retired for about 10 years. I retired a little early. I was an in-house attorney in a couple of different industries. One was insurance, which is another highly regulated industry and actually has rate setting issues and stuff there. So, and mostly I was just interested as a community community presence on the board.
Great. Thank you. Steve?
Yeah, so Steve Milton. I'm a local, I lived on the island now for about 15 years, I guess, and been on the utility board for, I think, 12 years. I was looking back through my email notes. I think it started in 2013. Yeah. And then I own a local internet services business, data center business. So used to telecommunications and that kind of regulated environment as a telecommunications service provider. So that was one of the reasons that I got interested in the board. So welcome to the new members.
Okay. Thanks, Craig.
I'm Craig Olson, a retired public works director and city engineer. And this is my second tour of duty back on Mercer Island. About 15 years now. I went to high school here. We moved to Olympia. I was a legislative advocate for the Association of Cities, and also worked for the governors, for 2 governors, and budgeting and legislative stuff. And I've been on the utility board now for a year, and I'm part of the Open Space Conservancy Trust takeover that's happening, you referred to. And it's just a pleasure to be on this board. I love everything engineering and budgeting and utilities. So
Great. Thank you. Brian?
Hi, folks. I'm Brian Thomas. I've previously served on the board for a little over 6 years, and I'm happy to be able to rejoin. I sort of termed out last time because of the change in policy on how consecutive terms. So I had a 4-year term that got cut short to 2 years because of the council's change in policy on tenure. So I'm happy to be back and eager to get engaged. I have worked in telecommunications for decades, and as well as in public service for 13 years. I worked for the Washington Utilities and Transportation Commission in a variety of capacities, including 4 years as the policy director at the agency. The UTC regulates all of the energy and water and solid waste and all sorts of different types of utilities in the state of Washington, primarily investor-owned utilities, including Puget Sound Energy on Mercer Island and some of the communications companies. I left the UTC in 2019, and then a year or 2 later, I joined Crown Castle, where I currently work. Crown Castle is one of the largest wireless infrastructure providers in the United States. And we provide the vertical assets, the masts, and other types of poles that support the deployment of wireless facilities by the major carriers in the country. We have assets on Mercer Island on utility poles, PSE's utility poles, as well as some streetlights. And I work in the West Coast region, primarily working with electric utilities and municipalities regarding deployment of small cells to support broadband build out. So anyway, glad to be back and look forward to working with all of you.
Thanks, Brian. And Jerry?
Thanks. I'm Jerry Poor. I'm glad to meet you guys. I'm the officially new person, I guess, given what we just heard. I have lived on the island and raised my family here for about 25 years. I work I will be retiring sometime, but not yet. Work at the Port of Seattle on transportation issues. So have my own share of public infrastructure opportunities every day at work, and looking forward to learning a lot on this utilities board. And I have the pleasure of living across the street from Craig Olson. So he's my mentor on this committee, as well as my prior colleague on the OSCT.
I don't think they can meet and talk about board business across the street. That constitutes a quorum, doesn't it?
We'll be careful.
All right.
Great. Thanks, everybody. I'll quickly introduce some staff if they want to just turn their cameras on. You'll see a few of us on a regular basis. So you've got Alan Hunter, our utilities ops manager. You've got Elaine Sommergren, our deputy public works director, who oversees the operations. And then I saw Kelly Healy Pola show up. She's deputy director overseeing the capital engineering team. And then you have Francesca Zagar, who's our senior admin assistant. So between the 4 or 5 of us, we're pretty much your constant regulars at these meetings. And you'll see a number of other staff come and go, but for the most part, a small group of us are always on these meetings, so you'll have a lot of FaceTime with us. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us if questions come up, regarding board matters, but also just general city government, city issues that come up as well. So if we can't answer the question, we can usually find someone who does have the answer. With that, we'll do our chair and vice chair elections. So we need a chair and a vice chair. You can self-nominate, you can nominate someone else. We do not take a vote on the nominations once you've been nominated or self-nominate. Everyone's into the roll call for the vote. But we'll start with the chair election. So does anybody want to nominate a board member or self-nominate themselves to be the chair of the utility board?
Well, if Steve would be interested, I would nominate him just because he's got so much extensive experience on the committee.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I unfortunately literally just doing the basic stuff on the board is about the maximum I can commit to. The city council meeting piece would make it not work for me, I'm afraid. So I would I guess happy to serve as the vice chair, but it would be a little too much for me at the moment. So. But I know Brian was vice chair previously. He may be happy to step up to the chair. He's been here before, and I actually also George, happy to put a nomination for George for chair as well. So, but yeah, I'm thankful.
I'm like you. I'm retired, but I don't have an overly loaded schedule. I'm just retired.
There you go.
Your brain has to be active enough to do that job, I swear. But thank you for the honor, but I'll respectfully decline.
Yeah.
I'd be very open to doing it, but as kind of a returning member and a new member, I didn't want to, step forward boldly into the unknown here. So if there are folks that are currently on the board that are very interested, I would defer to that. Otherwise, I would be interested in serving as chair.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you serve as chair. I'm not particularly interested at this point anyway, not for the next year or two in being the chair. So
okay,
I will nominate you. Or no, I guess you've been nominated. I'll second the nomination.
There you go.
And I'll include in my second Steve as the vice chair.
Thank you.
Any other nominees we'll start with the chair and then we'll let the chair take care of the vice chair. All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thomas. Any opposed? All right. Chair Thomas, the floor is yours to appoint and elect the vice chair.
So I believe
back.
this discussion. Thank you. I'm honored. And now I'm stumped as to what to do here. I believe we just heard a nomination for my buddy Steve Milton to serve as vice chair.
I did nominate him, so we probably need a second.
Is there a second? I believe, I'm not sure who that was. Is it Craig or
George seconded?
George seconded. Any discussion? Jason, you or staff needs to tell me if I do this incorrectly.
You're right on par.
All right. I'll close the nominations. All in favor of Steve Milton serving as vice chair of the utility board, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. It's unanimous. All right, Steve, we get to work together again.
Fair enough.
Congratulations.
Perfect. So next order of business is, I'll help you tonight, Brian, since I've got the agenda in front of me.
Yeah.
Next order of business is to approve the utility board regular hybrid meeting minutes of March 11th, 2025.
And I'll move to approve them since I actually read them and I was one of the people there.
second that.
Second that. Moved by Meredith and seconded by Craig. Any discussion?
I will abstain, having not been there.
Yeah, this is a little awkward. Are the new members expected to approve the minutes of a meeting they didn't participate in?
Based on
I
their
mean,
understanding of the feedback, yeah.
yes.
All those in favor of approving the minutes of the March 2025 Utility Board meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
I
Opposed, no. Unanimous. Look at how well we're all getting along here.
We're
Good
rolling.
leadership.
Okay, third order of business, Jason.
Third item of business is the 2025 department work plan update. So I apologize, we didn't get the work plan document in the packet. I'll send it around via PDF. I'm just gonna verbally go through it, perhaps maybe jot down some notes, because it's gonna be based off a couple meetings that we had this afternoon. There's gonna be possible some changes and some additional presentations added to the fold in the fall. So we're meeting tonight. We'll finish up the meeting today. Your next meeting, the next formal official utility board meeting will not actually be till September. We will schedule, July is busy construction season for us in Public Works, and it's a great opportunity to get out there and see some of the work the crews are doing. So we'll actually, we'll set up a couple dates in July, probably the 3rd and the 4th week of July. We'll get past summer celebration for some site tours to actually get out to the construction sites, go meet with the staff, the frontline teams, ask all the questions you want about utilities, road projects, you name it. It's a great opportunity to see a lot of our infrastructure firsthand. It definitely feeds into the conversations in the fall regarding our capital program. And then we have some pretty big work plan items on the near-term horizon the utility board will be participating in next year with the adoption of the general sewer plan and the water system plan, as well as some emergency response plans as components of the water system plan. So this is a good opportunity in July for you guys, again, to go out and see some infrastructure firsthand. You actually see how massive some of the infrastructure is, see how challenging some of the locations are. So it's not mandatory, but we like to open that opportunity up to the utility board and the council members. So we'll send a straw poll around for some dates in July.
And for those who
August.
are new, I'm just going to interrupt Jason, like I often do. I think it's a very worthwhile expenditure of time. I'm not working, so I have more flexibility about going, but it's really worthwhile.
And if to that point, if there's a piece of infrastructure you're looking to see, right? If you want, we just spent a lot of money reinvesting on our reservoirs. Those are part of the tour anyways, but something like that, if there's something that you want to see, let us know. We can likely arrange that. August is a citywide recess for public meetings. So council, boards and commissions take the month of August off. And then September 9th will be the next formal utility board meeting. It will likely be a Zoom meeting, and that will begin the conversations around the rate discussions. So rates are adopted every 2 years, but they're updated annually. So we adopted a 2-year rate structure as part of the budget process last year. We update those rates on an annual basis. So September will be a discussion, introduction to sewer, water, EMS, and stormwater. We'll try and hit all 4, at least at a high level, to say, hey, here's what's projected. Open up the conversation discussion, take feedback, questions from the utility board, and those rate discussions will carry into the October meeting. And if there's not a motion on the table in October and approved in October, they'll carry into November.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Absolutely.
For the rate discussion, do you anticipate having the materials out to the board at a certain time in advance so that we have a good chance to really study them and formulate questions for you when we have the September 9th meeting?
Yeah, so that's a great question. It will depend on what we have the FCS group that comes in and helps develop our rates. So we have to check. I'll have to check with them to see what their time frame is to actually have their full breadth of packet materials ready for you. Our goal will to at least, the very least, have it with the full packet going out on the Thursday the week before. If
Okay.
we can get out a little before that, we'll try. I don't want to commit to it until I check with FCS and their finance team, but we will certainly work to have that information available to you prior to that September conversation.
And then you said that some of the rate discussion might carry over to the October meeting. Is there a date for the October meeting?
Yep. So September 9th, October 14th,
Okay.
November 11th are the 3 dates that I would jot down. And then December 9th is a potential recess, but we can also plug something in if we need to.
And
Okay, I'll be
as a reminder, the default date is the second Tuesday of every month.
okay. I'll be out of the country on October 14th, returning the
Okay.
next day. So Steve, I think you'll be running the show on that day.
Understood.
So you're going to be chair by hook or by crook, I guess.
Jason, is November 11th the real,
Actually,
is that holiday a Monday holiday? Or is the November 11th the actual holiday and it really won't be November 11th?
let me verify. That's a good point. I just recognized that. Let us verify. It'll be that second Tuesday. If the Tuesday is the holiday, then we'll have to modify that date. So I will get back to you. Thank you for good catch.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Jason.
A couple other pieces in October just for some awareness. The city is currently in design process for a new water supply line. It is well underway. We anticipate likely going into construction in 2026. Part of that construction, part of that process will be amending the SPU contract because it will be a change of ownership of the existing pipes. So we have penciled in for October discussion and update on that contract amendment with SPU. In November, we have a follow-up item. We've had two consecutive, not this year withstanding, but the prior 2 years we had back-to-back water emergencies. We had been doing a significant amount of resiliency and reliability action plan work with Confluence Engineering, and they are now that we've had some chance to get through the emergencies, catch our breath a bit. They've been finalizing that draft plan. We'll be bringing that back to the board. And then likely that will feed into additional capital projects as part of the next budget cycle. So we'll likely bring that back in October, November timeframe for an update with the board as well, and sort of, hey, here's what we're thinking in terms of timing for these capital projects and what capital projects they may be in the future.
Jason, on the SPU thing, is the ownership of the new water line, is that to transfer it from SPU to the city, so the city
Correct.
controls its destiny, which is good.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And
So the proposal will be that the city will control ownership of the infrastructure from essentially the East Mercer boat launch all the way to the reservoir facility.
Okay. And then is that discussion with SPU, does it include any of the sort of the regional rate structure for the supply of water, or is that off the table at this point?
It's off the table. It's baked into the existing contract. I say that with there's an asterisk to it, and that has been there's a reopener per the contract terms that is happening simultaneously at this point in time. There is some modified language, some modified contract language regarding that rate structure that will be part of that conversation for our contract. So there have been some improvements proposed in the amended contract for that discussion.
Okay, thank you.
And then December, we currently have as a scheduled recess. Again, that's December 9th. Ideally, it's usually a good time to take a recess before the holidays, but if we need it, we'll utilize it. So that's the work plan. Again, there's some other items that are floating out there that I had mentioned, the water system plan, the general sewer plan. We'll look with staff to schedule those updates. We'll probably have a couple different touches with the utility board as those plans work through the process. Any additional questions on the work plan?
No, I can tell I'm getting close to exhausting my allotment for the first meeting.
All right. Item 4 is going to be a PSC franchise agreement update. This will be a very short update. Just so you all know, following the bomb cyclone that happened in November of last year, the council added to the work plan for Public Works as well as a number of other departments to revisit the PSC franchise agreement. Just so you know, the existing PSC franchise agreement technically sunsetted. Elaine, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe mid-90s, if I'm not mistaken. Long time overdue to update. So there's nothing to touch at this point in time other than to know that this is happening in the background. It's being reviewed, redlined right now currently with staff and outside legal counsel. And then we will meet with PSC, work through a contract amendment, but this work item will be added likely probably to the early 2026 work plan once the agreement's further along. But just be aware that there's a agreement in the works, an updated agreement in the works regarding the PSC franchise.
So
You-
Jason, have
Go
we been
ahead.
operating with PSC on an equivalent of like a month-to-month plan? I mean, is this like a real estate
Essen-
agreement that's,
Yeah, so I mean, we're not the only city that's had very expired contract or agreement with PSC. Basically the terms of the previous agreement are still in place. That's what we use on a functional basis. So it'd be, but since then things have changed. Green energy, solar power,
The merger of
tree
the gas
vegetation.
company.
Say that again.
A merger of the gas company with the, I think that sounds like the agreement predates Washington Natural Gas, right?
Correct. It's old. So right now our plan is to split gas and electric up, not one blended agreement. We'll update gas following the electric franchise, but again, that's subject to discussion, but that's the city's path forward right now, or intended path forward at this point in time.
Yeah, I think that's smart.
And will resiliency be a part of that conversation given what happened?
Yes, that is part of the internal conversations that we've had with staff is resiliency, responsiveness. Those are both sort of key components following the bomb cyclone that staff has been talking about. Again, it's an ongoing negotiation, so where we land is still to be determined, but that is definitely on our radar.
And do you if this is too deep, just tell me, but do you anticipate seeking input from the board on things to consider, or do you want, are you planning to provide some recommendations for the board to evaluate and bless, or provide suggestions, or what?
Yeah, so I think we'll provide an agreement, a draft agreement back for board evaluation, feedback, discussion. I think that will be useful based off of what we've heard from some other cities working through PSC franchise agreements in terms of perhaps how we take specific items or what items we position ourselves or fight hard for versus others. I think having that public feedback and utility board input will be helpful in those discussions.
Great, thank you. Other questions or comments?
Just as a question, I know a number of us, I think, have PSC, either worked for PSC or are closely, have some close affiliations to PSC. So we want to, I don't know what the procedure is for making sure that that's all clarified, I guess.
So
I'll make a note of that to make sure we talk with our legal counsel and make sure there's no conflict of interest or things like that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, in my role with Crown, I do interact with PSC. We do a lot of business with them, and I committed in my application that in the event a matter came before the board involving PSC, I would recuse if there was even an appearance of a conflict. So
yeah, I think we've got former employees, current employees. Like my wife is a current employee, so I know that there's just a number of different kind of ways that it intersects. So
right.
yeah, it's worth talking to council about it. Sometimes really it's just a matter of being very open and transparent about what the associations are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that.
Sounds good. Good advice.
Any further discussion on this item? No, we're almost done.
We're running a tight ship here.
Last item is just other business, and that's to schedule the July tours. We'll, like I said, we'll aim for the third or fourth week in July. We'll propose a couple dates. We'll keep those tours to no more than 3 board members, so we don't have a quorum in place. So just, and again, they're not required, they're not mandatory, but highly encouraged if you have the opportunity, even if you've been on a tour before. It's good to see. So if nothing else, it's great to interact with the staff that are at the front lines because they know a ton. They have a ton of knowledge and information that is very helpful.
I remember the tour years ago, and it always struck me as how proud the staff is of the work they do on behalf of the community. So I think they get a kick out of hearing from us as well. So it's definitely a worthwhile thing to do.
Yeah, I think we have a
Absolutely.
terrific staff.
Especially when we're not there just to complain.
I mean, they love to talk about it. Like, if you have questions, they love to talk about it, and it's definitely a different vibe when you're not being complained to. So it's great for them.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's it for regular business. Oh, Jerry's got a question.
Yeah, may I ask a new person question as we wrap up, which is I didn't pay that close attention to the minutes because I had told myself I was going to abstain. And as I look at the agenda now, it says it's the March 11th minutes. Is there May minutes?
We did not have a meeting in May.
Got it. Thank you.
It's a good
Yep.
question. We were supposed to have a May meeting, but it got canceled. So
Thank you.
We didn't have a quorum, so we couldn't hold a meeting.
Didn't have a board.
Well, we've got one now.
now, are we now fully staffed for the board? Is it a 7-person board?
We still have the council liaison is still vacant. The plan will be, now that they've appointed a new council member, they'll probably do board and commission appointments in the next month or so. And then the plan will be to have the new liaison pick up probably in September as we get into the rate conversation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good question.
Any additional discussion or questions before we adjourn? Okay. Hearing nothing, a motion to adjourn. Anybody?
Yeah, I'll move to adjourn.
And I'll second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. Everybody, nice to meet you. Look forward to our engagement. It's a great group. It's the best utility board in the Pacific Northwest as far as I'm concerned.
Agreed. Thanks
All right.
everybody. Try and enjoy some
Sounds good.
sunshine tonight.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks, everyone.
Hey, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.